Kalen DeBoer is going to be the next head coach at Alabama. That news breaking Friday afternoon. This guy's won a lot of football games through the years. Won a national championship at the NAIA level not that long, about a decade ago. He's 104 and 12 overall. He's had a slew of undefeated seasons at Sioux Falls in the NAIA level. He in his full seasons at Division One, he's been 3-3 during COVID, 9-3, and then 11-2, 14-1 at UW. So I think it's a good hire for Alabama. I don't know if it will be a cultural fit or not. I don't see why he can't succeed, to be honest with you. Is he going to have the success that Nick Saban did? I don't think so, personally, but that's me. And I think this league is a challenging league. I think that UW this past year, as great a season as they had, and they did have a great season, there were too many tight games for what Washington was and what they turned out to be the case in a lot of their games. Just kind of too close for comfort. But when you play in the national championship game and have a shot to win it, I was not surprised they beat Texas. I thought they'd actually beat Michigan. That didn't happen. Now, what concerns me, if you want to call it that, the Washington State game where you're winning by a field goal, not great. The Oregon State game, a team that was kind of falling apart at the end of the season, if you want to call it that, not great. The tough game against Arizona State, 15-7, not great. But the wins over Washington twice, the wins over Oregon twice, both by field goals for UW. I mean, those are great wins. But there's no question he's coming into a very different conversation situation. The last guy that came from the Pac-12 from the West Coast to try to make it work was run out of town in 3 months, which was Mike Price. That's not the same thing at all, but he was very successful at Washington State. Now, there's being the head coach in college football. Then there's being a head coach in the SEC, and then there's being the head coach at Alabama. There's nothing like that job. And, I was texting with someone today before this, and their reaction was that people are scared, that folks are scared of this job. Like, nobody wants it. Well, I mean, DeBoer wants it, obviously. I think he's got a great opportunity. There's no reason he can't win the national championship there. Will that mean that Alabama's the best program in the conference? No, I think that's going to be hard to do now that Nick's gone. With what Kirby Smart has accomplished at Georgia and what he's built, there's not going to be any shortage of national championships at Georgia. I don't think. I think Texas, Georgia, Alabama, should be LSU. Those teams should be winning national championships. Michigan certainly should be, and so should Ohio State. But I say Michigan should be. They almost went 80 years without doing it. In terms of a complete national championship, an undisputed national championship. So just because something should be doesn't mean it exists. I mean, Georgia was the best team in the country this year. They won the national championship. So it's not easy to do. And I think I watch a lot of Pac-12 football. I watch a lot of West Coast football. I should be more clear. I watch a lot of Pac-12. I watch a lot of Mountain West. And in that time, I've been able to see what Alabama's next head coach has had the capability of doing. And he's really good. I mean, I think if you had gone with Lane Kiffin, I think the pressure is going to be different. And what I mean by that is, he's proven that he can win. He's not used to this down here. And in a way, I wonder if that's going to be a good thing. How do I explain this to y'all in ways that really conveys it? I just remember when Mike Shula was the head coach at Alabama. I think this was 03, 04. That was about, I wouldn't say that was, that turned out to be pretty close to their low point. Although Mike DeBose was the head coach at Alabama in the recent past before that. So the low point may be firing a coach because he was at a strip club, allegedly. It's been rough at times there, but this makes sense. I mean, this is someone that should win. But I think success at Alabama can be success that they had under Gene Stallings, which was a league championship and a national championship. And the other years where Gene was there, they didn't win the national championship. Is he going to be graded against what Nick did? Because that's not the same thing as what being successful is. I mean, was Phil Fulmer successful at Tennessee? I think he was. He won one national championship. I mean, so if this is only going to be about comparing him to Nick, it's going to be a failure. If this is about everything else, this looks like a smart pick to me. For me, this is a better pick than Mike Norvell would have been at Alabama. This is a better fit than Sark there. I think everybody felt like Dan Lanning would have been the right kind of magical fit, and that may happen in the future. We'll see. But I think that this makes a lot of sense. And all you can do is put people in position. But we're talking about someone who's lost 12 games in their career, and they've been coaching since 2005. Now, all of that, they were not the head coach. I mean, you had 5 years at Sioux Falls where they win the national championship in that league 3 times. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, I never played in AIA. It's not like the NCAA. It's not, but it's not nothing either. And then he went to Fresno and had success in year 2. And then I think his results at UW speak for themselves. I don't like some of the close games. I don't like some of the random losses to UCLA and Arizona State that he had in a season ago. But he's played really well against Oregon. They beat Texas in 2022. But there are sometimes closer games than there should be, I guess is the way I'd put it. But beating Michigan State in 22, beating Oregon State, beating Oregon, beating Texas. That's not bad. I think this is a good hire. This makes a lot of sense. Now, what does it mean for the league? I think for Kirby, Sarkisian, Brian Kelly, immediately Alabama's going to fall some. But I think it's a good hire. I mean, I think it makes sense. I don't know if it will work. How can anyone know? But I think it's I remember when Kirby was hired at Georgia very clearly. My son was born on Monday night or Sunday, I can't remember. And the news was that Kirby was going to be the guy Tuesday night. And I remember the voicemail I left. I left one Georgia official. I was not very pleased. But that's another story for another day. And it wasn't about Kirby. It was about how it got out. But there was a lot going on for me at the time. I mean, Mark got fired on Sunday. My son was born on Monday. Tuesday, I mean, no one thought it was anybody other than Kirby. First of all, there was no coaching search. There was no discussion of anyone. It was, it's Kirby. How long is this going to take? And it took, 5 days for it to be official. It might not have even taken that long. So, it was clear to me that it was going to be Kirby and so forth. But anyway, you can get off the subject here. The first year of Kirby, the first spring and, all of that was, I think there was a particular panic that is common in college football from fans. Did we get the right class? Because that was Kirby's only non-top 5 class, I think, in his entire time there. And I'm going to speak to, I think, the DeBoer's number one challenge is what I'm getting at here. But Kirby's setup from that first class to the second was that he rolled in everybody basically in that second class and the third. When you think about that 18 class, which was coming off of his first season. Now, it wasn't, the 18 class came to fruition during the 17 season. So the bulk of those guys, Justin Fields, Zamir, James Cook, etc., they were all, that was all either after a lot of success, but a lot of that was before the success at Georgia. But you could see, and we knew that he was going to get the players. that is the one caveat that I don't know the answer to with Kalen DeBoer at at Alabama. I don't know if he's going to be successful recruiting. And as we saw in the national championship game, if you don't have big guys, you are not going to win in this league. Now, I say this league because it's Michigan, that was very similar to an SEC team in terms of power and size. If he does not get that going, they're not going to be successful. In this league, you have to have high level recruiting. And what I would say is, I don't know enough about, and I'm looking at it right now though. I think the criticism, if you want to call it that, of UW lately has been that he's not gone out and really gotten great classes. So, I don't know if people are just saying that, but like Washington just signed a year ago the number 26 class. They have number 36 class in 2023. Like, that's not ideal. His first class at UW, wow, might not have been a top 50 class. So it may be, yeah, it was not even in the top 100. It may be that doesn't matter as much in the future because of transfer portal. But honestly, y'all, you got to go get guys, because if he doesn't have Michael Penix, they're not having success at Washington. He got him through the portal, so that's okay. But I think that the criticism of him right now is, can he recruit the way that you really need to? Because Alabama, the caveat here is that Alabama, a little bit like North Carolina, likes to use their own folks. That's how they got Mike DeBose. That's how they wound up with Mike Shula. They've gotten away from that because of Nick. I think that's a smart call. But with Kalen DeBoer, who could not be any further from Alabama, just the way that Nick was, I think that whole pressure is off. But Nick got everybody at Alabama, for the first time in a long time, pointed in the right direction, getting organized, getting the money organized, and making everything point and go the right way. And what I'm saying is the right way is everybody was going for the same goal. It was time to get on board. Will he have the same sort of power on that front? Will he? Because he's not Nick. And that's a problem at Alabama. So I think the only person that could have come in and immediately gotten the attention of everybody would have been Kirby. But Kirby wasn't leaving Georgia. So, could Dan have done that? I don't know. I think that's the problem here is I fully expect Alabama to win national championships. But they need to recruit better than they are. And, a lot of the guys that they just signed, they don't have to stay at Alabama. So for DeBoer, it's important to get to Tuscaloosa now to recruit the 85 or maybe the 60-ish guys that are not that are sticking around, and to recruit those 60 guys first, and then to make sure that you're nailing down everybody that's in your signing class that maybe wants to go, and then taking it from there. This is not going to be an easy transition for him, but I'm not so sure that he won't be successful. But it really will come down to, are you able to recruit? And he does not have any ties in the South. The only ties he's got to the South is South Dakota, and that's not the South. So we'll see if it works. I would not be so quick to poo-poo this. I mean, I think that Alabama has a track record of being very spotty with people not named Bear and Nick, and we're gonna see. It's very hard to follow a legend, but I gotta say, I don't know that this won't work. Dabo, that'd have been a tough one. But that's not a problem now. Alabama has got their guy, and I think he was third or fourth on their list for a reason, but I don't think that means he can't have success. That's my take. We'll see, and we'll see quick. I mean, because they play Georgia in Game 4, I think it is, and that will be a critical game for Kellen Bohr and Kirby Smart too.